Hi, I'm Mike, and this is Jess, and welcome to Goodwin's Farm 207.
Today we're actually out in the goat pen. You can see Remy behind us, she's eating. But this video is actually not going to be about goats, it's going to be about chickens. And we're going to talk to you about meat birds, when to order them, how to order them, should you order them, buy them in store. And also we're going to give you reviews over 2 different hatcheries that we've actually ordered our chickens from and how that worked versus buying them at our local farm store. So stick around, lots of good content on this video.
Lots to learn. All right, well, we're back up here, and we're going to talk about meat birds for a little bit.
Yeah, so I don't know if you can see behind us, but we've got our meat birds, our latest round of meat birds, and the chicken tractor behind us. And we want to talk to you a little bit about just how we order them, how we raise them, and some of the different things that we do as far as raising our own meat in chickens. So hopefully you'll find this informative.
Yeah, I don't think what we do is anything, groundbreaking, but it seems to work for us.
Yeah, so this year, and actually the last few years, we've been doing 2 batches of birds. Instead of buying a super large batch in the spring, we actually will do 1 batch in the spring and summer, and then we will do another one that we start kind of towards the end of the summer, and it'll take us into the beginning of fall. Just makes it a little bit more manageable for us, especially when it comes to processing the chickens. It can be a lot to try and process 50 to 100 birds all at the same time for us working full time. So we kind of break it up, where this year we did 50 birds in the beginning of the year, and now we have our last round was 30.
Yeah, and up until recently, we were without a truck to transport animals around. So if we ran short on time and we hired out the processing of the birds, it was a little bit difficult to fit birds in the back of an SUV.
Yeah.
It was doable, but not preferred, I guess.
That is one thing I want to say is, as you're starting out with your homesteading and becoming more self-sustaining, it's okay to hire out, especially if you're working full-time. It does cut into your overall overhead, but you're still getting quality meat that you raised yourself, and you can always bring it to a butcher that processes them humanely, and just give yourself permission to start where you're at. You don't have to have it all figured out all in the beginning, because we certainly didn't, and we still don't with a lot of things. We're still learning.
Yeah, you jump in with both feet and try to figure things out, and some things you learn, you're comfortable doing yourself. Other things you're like, maybe we'll hire that out next time. I don't think we're opposed to, processing our own birds, but sometimes you just run out of time and things need to get done.
Yeah, we ran into a situation last summer where I actually broke my hand and had very, very limited mobility due to an accident, and we had all these meat birds that needed to be processed, so we ended up just hiring it out at the last second because it was not something that we could feasibly do ourselves. And I do prefer to process them ourselves, because then you get the meat cut up and packaged exactly the way you want it. So today we wanted to walk you through kind of the process of, where do you get your birds from? That you have a few options. You can get your birds, if you're fortunate enough to live close to a farm that raises their own meat birds, because meat birds are generally a cross of other birds. There are some that can breed naturally, but they don't grow as quick or as big, and they have a little bit different flavor. Some people like that, and that's fine. So the first thing is obtaining your birds. How do you get them? You could go through a breeder, which would be awesome if you have one close by. That would be a great option. However, for us, we're in Maine, and there's not a lot of hatcheries in Maine.
Nope.
In fact, I don't think I know of any that are in Maine. So that leaves it to, we can buy them from a farm store, which, again, if you have a good relationship with your farm store, I'm not opposed to necessarily doing that. We've done that, and it's worked out good. The one thing that I would say that's kind of the downside of getting it through a farm store versus directly from a hatchery is the cost is going to go up. And that's just natural because they've got to cover their costs and they want to make a little bit of money off of it too. So if you go directly to the hatchery, you're kind of cutting out that middleman, so to speak. So then that leads you to really your third option, which is ordering them from a hatchery. And that's what we opted to do this year. If it's something that you want to get into raising your own meat birds, which is something that we've talked about doing, that is quite a setup, but that's not necessarily what this video is about. So maybe a second video or different video we'll talk about more if you want to actually hatch and raise your own. This is more of if you're buying your meat birds, where to get them from.
Right.
The first year we started out, we ordered them from the farm store, and it worked out really well. The birds are really healthy. I don't think we lost any that summer that were chicks.
I don't remember.
I don't think we lost any at all that summer. So they were very healthy birds. It worked out really well. We processed those ones ourselves. Everything went as smoothly as it could be. Definitely was a learning curve. And then the next summer we ordered them from, well, actually several of the farms in the area went in and ordered a bunch online from Hillside Hatcheries. It's actually and I just want to caveat, we are not affiliated with them in any way, shape, or form. I will post links to some of these hatcheries below. We do not get a cut from any sales, so don't feel you have to buy from them. We're not necessarily recommending them. We're just sharing with you what our experience has been with these different hatcheries so that you can make an informed decision for yourself. And we have absolutely no affiliates. So the first year that we kind of did the online thing is we went in with a bunch of farms and went through Hillside Hatcheries, which is actually 4 or 5 family-owned hatcheries that all kind of work together under that umbrella. And depending on what breed or bird you want would be depending on where it's actually getting shipped from. So, and that worked out pretty well. I think we ended up losing maybe one that year as a chick, and outside of that, the rest of them made it through adulthood. I think we lost one that got a little bit older. I think once it was a teenager, I think it might have gotten crushed or heat stroke or something. So that year, I think we only ended up losing 2 altogether, and it worked pretty well. And then, after we kind of got a little bit more experience, we felt a little more comfortable with it, we decided to order online ourselves. And this year we ended up ordering from 2 different hatcheries. The first hatchery we ordered from the Freedom Rangers hatchery, which is part of that Hillside Hatcheries group of people, group of hatcheries. And we got our birds okay. They were priced reasonable comparative to everybody else. Since we'd used them before, we thought, hey, this will be a great place to go. And then
we got them home all set up in the brooder, and over the next 3 or 4 days, I'd say we probably lost 1 or 2 chicks a day.
Yeah, we ended up losing about half of what we had gotten, which was devastating, as you can imagine. It was really frustrating for us because, this was how we feed our family. We did contact the hatchery. They made good on every single chick, even though their website says they guarantee live delivery, and I think any birds that die within the first 48 hours, they will replace. But because we were having such an issue, I talked to the hatchery directly, and they felt like it was probably some stressor that happened during shipment. And usually when that happens, it can take up to a week for the birds to kind of stabilize and stop dying. So I was very grateful. They didn't give us any hassles at all about refunding us for the birds that we lost. The only downside was that in order to reorder, you had to have a minimum of 15 chickens. So we ended up having to buy extra chickens from the feed store that happened to have some left over because we wanted to we needed these chickens to feed our family. So
yeah, we were lucky that they had some in stock. I think we got the last ones that they had.
So we still didn't end up with as many as what we originally planned, but we were a little frustrated. At the same time that we ordered the meat birds, though, we had actually placed an order for a later delivery for some laying hens as well, to replace some of the ones that have been kind of aging through our farm. And those ones all showed up, and they were lively and they were well. I think we ended up losing one of them, but they had sent us a couple extras anyway. So, I definitely feel like it wasn't really the hatchery. It was probably something happened in the shipping with them.
Yeah.
And I definitely, as far as their replacement refund, I would give them a high recommendation for that. They were really easy to work with. They weren't difficult at all.
Yeah, they just asked for proof. We just sent them some photos of the ones we lost, and they didn't give us a hard time, which was nice.
Yeah. Which that's completely reasonable. So, which is something to keep in mind if you do order from a hatchery and some deceased, take pictures of them, because some of them will want to see proof that the bird died, which is completely understandable.
Yeah.
So then we fast forward, we get through that batch, everybody gets processed, they get put in the freezer, and we eat a lot of chicken.
We do.
So we were going through them pretty quickly, and of course we ended up with a lot less birds than what we originally planned due to, them dying and stuff. So we decided to do a little bit bigger batch, because normally we would do about 20 for our second batch, and we ended up doing 30 this time. And we actually ordered from a hatchery that we had never ordered from before. Kind of took a chance on it. I searched the Google reviews and everything, and those were all really high. So I knew they were a real company. But the second hatchery that we actually ordered from this fall was the Chick Hatchery. And again, I'll post the links and stuff below for you guys, so you know who we're talking about. And very easy ordering process, very easy website to navigate. The reason we actually ended up going with them is because they were a little bit cheaper per bird, but the real savings was they didn't charge shipping, which the shipping cost typically was $25 to $40 for our shipment of birds, which was almost half of our cost.
Right.
So by not having to pay shipping, we ended up saving considerable amount of money per bird, ordering it through them. And again, we were a little bit nervous because you're ordering your birds sometimes a month or two in advance, or even further. So you place this order and you hope they show up, and they did.
They did. Yeah, it's kind of weird going to the post office, and instead of picking up a cardboard box of whatever, you're getting a cardboard box of chicks. It's
Yes.
kind of wild. Well, it's wild to me. I didn't know they did that sort of thing. So it's just kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it was fun. They're really loud too. When you walk in there, you can always tell when they have a shipment of birds. That's
Yep.
for sure.
Yep.
So we got these ones in. They all showed up alive. The first night, I believe we lost one. They had sent us one extra. The first night we lost one. The second night we lost a second one. And so I contacted the hatchery again, and they had a very, well laid out, again, policy of we only refund birds in the first 48 hours, blah, blah, blah. And, I mentioned, we had lost one, but since we had only ordered 30 and they sent us 31, I didn't say anything, but I sent them a photo of it, and they did end up refunding me for the additional chick too.
Yeah.
Which, again, at that point they had no obligation to, because it wasn't within their refund, but they did, and I really appreciated that. And I definitely would recommend checking them out, at least, because of the free shipping just made a huge difference for us. Couple other things that I would maybe mention is, when you're looking at hatcheries to order your birds from, consider the time of year you're ordering them. If you're ordering them in what would be winter for you or for the hatchery that you're getting them from, maybe consider getting a hatchery that's closer to your geographic location. Let me see that again.
Teamwork.
Maybe consider, yeah, just let it roll. So, and the reason being is because they will get stressed in shipping, and you'll want to make sure that, you know, they're not getting too cold and stuff like that. So just kind of be conscientious of what you're putting the baby chicks through for the shipping too, because it can be a stressor for them. So the closer to you can get, probably a little bit easier on shipping it's going to be for them. Some of you, that's not really an option. Like for us, we're fairly limited to, you know, where we can get our birds. Another thing to keep in mind when you're ordering them is, you know, do your research obviously on the website and make sure you read all the fine print. Every hatchery is a little bit different, whether there's a small flock fee. If you're ordering under like a certain number of birds, there might be a fee. If what their shipping cost is. So just really read through everything and make sure you understand exactly what this is costing you per bird before you know, just order it from whichever one.
So after we placed the order, we knew that it was going to be a couple weeks, maybe even a couple months before they were going to ship. And both hatcheries were good about communicating when the birds were shipped. And they'll give you a tracking number which you can follow. And
Bird feather.
oh. And in our situation, it's not like we got a cardboard box of chicks delivered to our doorstep. You know, they don't typically, at least in our area, they don't deliver to your door. They bring them to the post office, so you have to go and pick them up. And they obviously don't want you to leave them there all day. So in our situation, we got a phone call from our postmaster, and
He knows Michael very well.
Yep. I drove down there and picked them up, and you know, we had a brooder all set up and ready to go. So it's, you know, once you get that email that they've been shipped, you know, it's good just to be prepared, because you're not sure how much time it's going to take to get to the post office. You want to be ready for when they actually show up.
Yes, that is a really good point too, because most post offices actually require that you pick them up within an hour or two. So definitely, when you place your order for your birds, make a notation of when roughly they're going to be coming in, and make sure you're tracking that, because if you don't work close to your post office, like I don't, thankfully Michael does, then you're going to have to anticipate taking some time off work once those birds get in, so you can get them home and get them in their brooder.
Yeah. Speaking of birds, there's some birds over there dancing around in the pumpkin patch.
Yeah, they're fighting. They're establishing the pecking order for fall.
So one thing to keep in mind when you are ordering the birds is to do your research on the different breeds that are available. If you've never had farm-raised meat of any kind, really, not just chicken, the breed makes a difference on the flavor. So it'd be good to do your own research and spend the time making sure that you are getting a breed that you're actually going to enjoy once you have gone through the entire process and have them processed, that you're going to enjoy that end result.
Yeah, that is something I can't stress enough. I actually work with several people who don't like farm-raised meat, and when you dive into it, a lot of it is breed, but also what you feed them. Your Freedom Ranger breeds are going to be a little bit slower growing. To me, they taste a little bit leaner. But as someone who likes dark meat and, you know, all the fatty stuff that's not good for you, I prefer the Cornish hens, because they have that more traditional, I guess, chicken flavor, where they taste a little, you know, like they have a little bit more dark meat, and to me they're just juicier, better chickens. But again, do your research. I recommend, if you're going to get into meat birds, that you contact your local farms in your area, build a relationship with them. I'm really big about building relationships with other homesteaders and farmers. You've probably picked up on that already, because nobody knows everything, but a lot of people know a lot about a lot of things. So it's helpful to have different experts to help you out, but also buy some meat from a local farm first and try it. You know, ask them, what breeds do you have? Try their breeds, try someone else's breeds, and learn what you like. But also on top of that is what you feed them. If you're feeding them grain, they're going to have a different flavor than if you're pasture raising them. We kind of do a mix of both. We give them pasture time. We also give them a lot of farm scraps from the vegetable gardening. To apple trees right now are shedding like crazy. So we give them all of that too. But we also give them grain. And generally the last couple weeks when we're finishing them off, I give them a lot more fruit, because it actually, in my opinion, it makes the meat taste a little bit sweeter. And fruit scraps are a pretty easy thing to find around here. And so it's a cheap way for me to boost the flavor of my birds.
Yeah, if you want to see something amazing, you give birds a watermelon. They will just devour that thing in no time flat. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's kind of a tradition of ours, like the day or two before processing. Usually like a week before we'll start giving them watermelon, but like the day before we process them, we give them a big meal. I know some people say not to do that. Your farm, your rules, do whatever. But for us, we do that for them.
Right. It's kind of a last hurrah.
Yeah. So, and we do value all of our animals, whether they're for meat purposes or dairy purposes or just pets. We don't take it lightly, and we are very grateful that, we're able to do this, and grateful for what they provide for our family.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we hope you found that informative. Definitely some things to think about, but everything's important. It's all related, and it's good information to have, whether this will be your first time getting meat birds or second, or really any time. It's just a good reminder of things to keep track of.
Yeah, so hopefully that you found this helpful, educational, maybe comical. I don't know. If we're doing it all wrong, tell us. But anyway, if you like videos like this, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you're notified when we post new content. If you had questions, comments, or anything we're doing really wrong, please comment below. We love hearing from you guys, and we appreciate your support.
Yeah, and we'll see you on the next one.